Hi everyone, I'm Morgan and I'm an addict. Hi friends, welcome or welcome back. It's Morgan. If you're new here, so glad to have you. If you're not, bring it in bestie, so glad to have you back. And today we're going to be doing a big book haul. It's probably one of my biggest book hauls yet. I will not lie to you. I have not done one in general, but this is going to be my first ever one, and I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be my biggest one. So over the last 2 weeks, I have been buying all the books that I wanted to buy according to my TBR, my Goodreads. And now I have culminated all of those lovely babies into a big list to share with you today. Ever since December, when I got back into reading again, I honestly have fallen in love with it. I literally cannot resist going to spend my hard-earned dollars on freaking books. It's a problem. Food and books. What am I gonna do? So I've broken this video down into a couple of parts. We have Greek mythology, or books pertaining to Greek gods or goddesses. We have our young adult fiction. We have our fiction. We have fantasy. We have manga, and also self-help. So I think that kind of encompasses all of the books that I've recently gotten on my little book haul. But let's get on into it. Starting first with Greek gods or goddesses. The first book we have here that is all the rave of booktubers and book talkers alike is Cirque by Madeline Miller. Now Cirque follows the story of a young girl, a daughter born in the house of Helios, the god of the sun and a mighty titan. Now Cirque was born with the power of witchcraft. She can turn people into animals and all types of other witchy things. And Zeus, being Zeus, is intimidated by this and banishes Cirque to a lone island. On this island, Cirque works on honing her power and owning her power, and she meets so many famous creatures along the way. Now, Cirque ends up, of course, hurting someone or angering someone, both men and gods alike, and she must decide if she will use her power to side with the gods she was born with or with the humans she has fallen in love with. I am super excited to read this book. I have never really read something that's based upon Greek mythology, but I do love Greek mythology. I have literally watched so many Greek mythology movies. They're literally one of my favorite categories of movies to watch, but I have never read a book based on characters from Greek mythology. Madeline Miller has gotten all the praise for not just this book, but the next book we will talk about as well. So I'm super excited to discover her writing style. I've never read anything of hers before, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it because it's very hard for me not to love something that's related to Greek mythology. Now, that leads us into our next book here, which is also by Madeline Miller, and it is Song of Achilles. Now, this book I've heard very mixed reviews about. I've heard some people say it's very sad. I've heard some people say that they adore it. Some people say it's not all the rave. However, this book follows Achilles, of course. We all know him, and his friend Patroclus. They go on this journey and train with the centaur Chiron, and through this they get called when Helen of Sparta is kidnapped, and they must go and defend her and protect her and retrieve her and lay siege to the city of Troy in her name. Of course, Achilles is all for the praise, he's all for the rave, he's all for the love, so he is down to fight for Miss Helen. His friend Patroclus, because of his love for him, joins him on this journey, and little do they know they are in for one hell of a ride. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a sad book. I have heard and watched the story of Achilles and the city of Troy and Sparta and all of that so many times to know that this is not going to end good for my boy Achilles. So I'm super excited to get into this, but I'm not excited for how it's going to rip my heart apart. Another book that tells a story of different Greek gods and goddesses is Neon Gods. Now this book is a part of like a series by this author. She has another one I think called Electric Idol. However, Neon Gods is a book by Katie Roberts, and it's about the story of Persephone and Hades. It is a modern retelling of this story of Persephone and Hades. Now, Persephone in this book lives in this glorious city of Olympus, of course. Now, she is going to be promised to marry to Zeus. Zeus, come on, bro. What's the issue? Get your own babes. Get your own ladies. I don't know why you gotta be like this all the time. However, because Persephone despises this, like any sane woman would, she flees to the Undercity and finds herself forced upon or flung upon Hades. Now, Hades has always lived in the shadows. He has never really kind of expressed himself. Of course, Hades is always seen as this bad, evil guy. But once Hades falls in love with Persephone, he will do anything, and I mean anything, to prevent her from leaving his side. I am super excited to read this book. Now, I love me some smut. Shameless. I don't care. I love me some smut, and I heard this book has some good smut, okay? So that's one big reason why I picked this book up, is because the smuttier the better, in my opinion. But we do love a good smut with plot, okay? I'm not just all for the smut. I would prefer it to have a plot as well. So I'm excited to read this book, and I'm excited to get into this. This is literally all the rave. These next two books, I literally am missing the second book in this series. I don't know if it has multiple in this series past number 3. However, I do have book 1 and book 3. I will not read these until I have the full series in my hand. So they will sit until I can figure out where to find book 2 at. However, that is A Touch of Darkness. Now, I know what you're gonna say. How many Persephone and Hades retellings do you need? The answer is all of them. I need all of them, okay? So A Touch of Darkness is, again, a retelling of the story of Hades and Persephone. Miss Persephone, she ends up going to this world called New Athens, right? She like, okay, yeah, I just want to chill and have a good life. No. She ends up going to this forbidden dark undercity club, and she plays this card game with this mysterious stranger. Now, this mysterious stranger happens to be Hades, of course, god of the underworld. So she makes this bet that literally intrigues Hades to the T, to the bone, and they end up getting in this sort of contract relationship. So while Miss Persephone hates this idea of being bound to the city of the underworld, she wants her freedom. She thinks she's failed as a goddess. She's trying to escape, right? She's trying to sow the seeds of her freedom, but what she does not expect is the love, the undying love that grows in this relationship for the god of the dead. Now, from my understanding, A Touch of Malice, of course, I've missed something in the middle of A Touch of Malice and A Touch of Darkness, but in A Touch of Malice, Persephone and Hades are now engaged. Demeter, aka Persephone's mommy, she is not happy about that. She is like, no, 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 no. You are not taking my daughter. So she unleashes a blizzard that she will not let up on until Hades releases her daughter, okay? But the gods now have to intervene. Will they side with Demeter, or will they side in a war against the god of the dead, the god of the underworld, Hades? It says on the book, literally, nothing is certain but the promise of war. Dun dun dun! Okay, now one last stop is a LGBTQ book. It follows Miss Jane and Miss August, 2 female lead characters, and Miss Jane is straight out of the 1970s. Now, August, she's 23 years old. She works in this pancake diner. She doesn't see how love and any of those sorts of things and magic and all of that can relate to her life until she meets her subway crush, which happens to be Jane. Now, Jane is suave. She is in this leather jacket. She is smooth, and she is straight out of the 1970s. And when I say straight out of, I think it means straight out of the 1970s. Now, August has to use all of her wits to help Jane get back to where she belongs, and then they fall in love and they have this major romance, subway, New York City type of vibe. Now, in one last stop, I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I'm not sure how it's going to work, mainly because I've heard that this has like sex scenes on the subway of New York City, and I can only imagine how gross that is realistically. But for the sake of the book, I'm gonna try to ignore that, and I'm gonna try to let them girls live their best life and, you know, whatever, eat it up, literally. So we are going to read this book, definitely probably going to be on my March TBRs. That's going to be in a future video. Now, this book has been all of the rave over TikTok, book talks, whatever. this book has so many mixed opinions. I really try to avoid all of the opinions that comes with this book. I try not to watch too many reviews where people talk about this book, which is Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Okay, so Love Hypothesis follows two characters, Olive and Adam, and it's very like that happy sunshine versus like very stern, serious guy, because Olive is super happy go lucky, she's sunshine, and Adam is the complete opposite. Now Olive is trying to convince her bestie that she literally can fall in love, she can master love, and she kisses the first person she sees, which happens to be Adam, and they get into this whole fake dating relationship. And of course we all know fake dating always leads to real dating. I've heard this is a super cute rom-com type of book. This is super nice to read, it's an easy read. However, so many people have mixed feelings about this. I've heard that this book does have very spicy scenes from some people, and then others are like, okay, the spice wasn't really that spicy, it was more like pico de gallo, not jalapeno, you know. I don't know, but I'm going to leave everybody's, you know, associations and thoughts and reviews alone, and I'm going to go into this with my own blank mind and figure out what this book is all about. Now we're getting a little sad here because this particular author literally writes only sad books. I feel like she literally only knows sadness in her life, sadness and creepiness. Like this author, Miss Colleen Hoover, this is her newest release, Reminders of Him, and I literally am ready to be crushed. Literally prepared to have my soul run over by 18-wheeler because Miss Colleen Hoover never ceases to let up on my heartstrings, okay? Okay, so Reminders of Him follows a young woman, or a woman named Kenna Ward. Now, Kenna makes a terrible decision, and this decision ends her up in prison for 5 years. Now, the twist is that Miss Kenna was pregnant when she went into prison, so 9 months later, she gives birth to her daughter, and then her daughter is taken away from her for the remainder of the 5 years, so 4 years total. When Kenna emerges from prison, she tries to rekindle these bonds with people and also, you know, work on getting her bond together with her daughter, but she is refused of these things. She is denied of these things because people are judgmental, people do not trust her, people are still carrying the things that she did 5 years ago on her now. This book, I heard, or I feel like, will rip me to pieces and then put me back together at the end, of course, like all Colleen Hoover books do. Now, this book is considered a standalone romantic thriller, and I love both those words, romance and thrillers. This book follows Lowen Ashley, a struggling writer. Now, Lowen gets the opportunity from Jeremy Crawford to come into his home and finish a book for his wife, Verity Crawford. Now, Verity Crawford has a successful book series already, and Jeremy hopes that Lowen can come in and finish up this series with his wife's notes. His wife is injured, Verity is injured, and he hopes that Lowen can complete this task. However, what Lowen discovers in Verity's chamber of secrets, would you say, is a autobiography that was never meant to be seen by the eyes of anyone. Lowen initially keeps this book hidden from Jeremy, being that he's already a grieving father and is in a very terrible emotional state. However, when she starts falling for Jeremy even more, she has to decide whether or not she's going to keep this a secret or reveal these truths to him so that he will in turn stop loving his wife and end up with her. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that sounds so messy, okay? This Lowen is a petty Betty. So I'm super excited to read this. I love romance, I love thrillers, I love all of the in-between. So if Miss Lowen is gonna be messy, then I'm here to sign up, okay? Now, Forever Interrupted follows the story of Elsie Porter. Elsie Porter is a 20-something regular, ordinary girl, but what happens to her is anything but. On New Year's Day, Elsie heads out to order a pizza for one from a pizza shop where she meets Ben Porter, and they have an amazing automatic, electric, and magical connection. Ben is dying to meet her again, and so they go on dates, and by May, they have eloped madly in love. Now, what happens to Ben is so tragic. He is on his bike one day headed home when he is hit by a truck and killed on impact. Elsie then has to fly to the hospital and meet a mother-in-law that doesn't even know she exists and that she has never met. So if you've never read Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, whatever, then you will know that Miss Girl has a talent, okay? Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was a major hit everywhere, on BookTube, on BookTok, with celebrities, with regular readers. Everybody, bookstagrammers, everybody loved the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Now, she does have another book called Daisy and the Sixes, I believe, that most people also love and also rave about, that I will be getting very soon. So be on the lookout for that to be in the next book haul. Now, I believe Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid literally loves flashback stories and mixing that with current events, because Malibu Rising is just that. It is a story of 1983 Malibu, and it follows the River siblings, or this family that literally has all of this money, just a shit ton of money. They literally have parties all the time. They live it up. They literally love all the glitz, all the glam, all the messiness. However, they have this party, and by morning, the house that the party was in is in flames and secrets are everywhere. I love this. I love messy books. I told you that when it came to Miss Verity, okay? When it came to Miss Verity and Miss Colleen Hoover, I told you I love messy. So I'm hoping that this book will literally have me gagged, okay? Now, this book is Call Me By Your Name by Andre Ackerman. Now, I am not sure how I feel about this book here. The main reason is because I watched the movie. I adored the movie in more ways than one. However, when you look at it in depth, you see how really messed the hell up it is. This book follows the epic romance of an adolescent boy who falls in love with a guest at his parents' summer mansion home in Italy. Both the guest and the main character are male, so this is an LGBTQ book. Now, the adolescent boy character and the guest in the book, they literally go through this whole summer together in a way, and it builds this passion and this desire and this want and this need for each other, and literally it's like pummeling them and throwing them towards one thing, which is true real intimacy. This book is described as hot. This book is described as a love letter. This book is described as so many things, but I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about reading it, being that it's actually about a boy that's underage falling for a guy that's grown as hell. So this book, ever since I have seen the movie, has long been on my to buy list, and I finally have gotten it, and it's something that I don't think I will regret. Even though I might feel a little uncomfortable, I do not think that I will regret this book. This book is called A Little Life by Hanya. Now, this book follows 4 college classmates, and they live in New York. They're broke and they're in search of fame and fortune, like we all are, okay? Now, it says their relationships are tinged through addiction and success and pride, but the men are held together all by this brilliant guy who they meet, who has experienced such great childhood trauma, and his name is Jude. And it follows the families that we're born into, the relationships we forge with those families, and how those relationships can in turn affect the relationships in the lives that we create for ourselves. But this book was so recommended by one of my favorite people that I have to go ahead and read it. Now, this book, Normal People by Sally Rooney. Now, Sally Rooney is an author that literally has so many mixed reviews across the internet, but I'm gonna give her my own little 2 cents, okay? This book follows Connell and Marianne. They're both high school students, and Connell is the popular person while Marianne is a loner. The two strike up a conversation, and while it is immensely awkward, it is electrifying and magnetic between the two. And it follows their storyline throughout the years to adulthood, where they try to stay apart but find that they cannot. 287 pages, so this is a super short read. As you can see, it's not that thick, not that big at all, but I am excited to read it nonetheless. Next is also a book by Miss Sally Rooney, and this book is called Conversation with Friends, and it follows Frances, a cool-headed young woman, and Frances goes to this little poetry night with her friend Bobby, and they meet this poet there, this woman there that literally strikes Frances's interest. When Frances is invited into this home, she meets Nick, the older woman's husband. I've heard so many things about this book. Again, it's not very long. Miss Sally knows how to get it done in realism, and make it good. So I'm excited to read this. I haven't really looked into in depth what it's really about because I want to go into this with a very open mind. Yeah, nonetheless, we're gonna see what Francis and Nick got going on, what Miss Sally Rooney has going on in yet another one of her books. This is also my third Sally Rooney book that I have recently purchased, and it is called Beautiful World, Where Are You? Now, one of my favorite booktubers, Mel Reeves, literally had read this book in a reading vlog of hers, I believe, and I fell in love with the idea of reading it, and I wanted to give it a shot myself. Now, this book follows 4 characters: Alice, Felix, Eileen, and Simon. Now, Alice and Felix, they meet, and Alice invites Felix to go on this little trip with her to Rome, while her bestie, Eileen, is back in Dublin. And after a breakup, she meets Simon, and she falls in love with him too. They begin flirting. They have some type of relationship. Now, it follows these 4 characters while they navigate love and life and sex and travel and desire and friendship. And it's all jumped down to, will they find the purpose of living in a world? Will they find the worlds that they live in to be beautiful? It seems like Miss Rooney writes a lot of books that are very realistic in a way, that are very relatable to people's, you know, real life situations. And I'm excited to read these and to unpack these because I feel like they each will give me a different vibe to what she's going for. Now, I haven't heard anything about this at all. This is something that I found when I was just on a book hunt one day with my friend, and reading the back synopsis of it just kind of made us gravitate towards it and pick it up. It is called When Stars Rain Down, a novel by Angela Jackson Brown. And this book follows Opal Pruitt. The book is based in 1936 Georgia, and Opal and her grandmother Bertie work as housekeepers for this lady named Miss Peggy. Now, the Ku Klux Klan, yes, the Ku Klux Klan descends upon Opal's town, and Opal is stuck in this messy relationship navigating this love triangle between Jimmy Earl Ketchum, which is the grandson of the white lady she works for, and also the son of her pastor, Cedric Perkins. I have never ever read a love story that is based in 1936 where the Ku Klux Klan is here and race is involved. But I'm excited to read this because I feel like it's definitely going to be a little heavy at times, but I'm excited to see how this author, Angela Jackson Brown, you know, depicts the relationship between a black woman and a white male, and also a black on black relationship. I have not read many books that have black on black relationships, if any, and I've been dying to find one. So I'm hoping that this aids me into getting into more of that black on black love trope. Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon, and y'all don't judge me, I've never heard anybody talk about this book, but me and my best friend picked up this book because we were dying. We literally opened it up to a random page in Books A Million and started cracking up, okay? This book follows a young woman, Georgie Carruthers, and she's abandoned on this ice planet with all of these other women who were abducted by aliens. Now, Georgie is fighting for survival with the other women who were also kidnapped and isolated on this ice planet, and she meets Vectol. Vectol is an alien blue guy that lives on this planet, and now Vectol sees Georgie and he's like, yo, shorty, you're my mate, okay? You're my mate, and you're not going nowhere, girl. So Vectol and Georgie have to work together to save the other women that she's with, but Georgie knows that if she accepts Vectol's help, she will probably, more than likely, not be able to escape. So y'all, this thing is so funny. This book is so funny. I literally read one line when I was in the bookstore, and she was like, yeah, I'm not gonna leave my fucking girls behind. Queen. Icon right there, line of the year, okay? So I had to get this. Me and my best friend have it together. We were supposed to read it together. I'm pretty sure we're probably gonna read it at different times, but I had to get it nonetheless. I think this book is gonna be all for shits and giggles more so than anything else. This is gonna be a completely fun thing to read, in my opinion. So that is that, Ice Barbarians. This book here is recommended to me by my friend Z. It is called Legend Born, and it follows 16-year-old Bree Matthews. Now, Bree thinks that she's an ordinary girl. However, her mother is murdered, or her mother dies in this strange, weird accident. Bree then discovers her own magic and is thrusted into the society called Legend Born, and after she figures out that there's more to just her mother's death than what's on the police report, she is tasked with the decision to either take the society down or join the fight with them against the war that's building in the magic society. I had to get this book when I saw it because I was like, if I don't, this is very anti-black of me. It would be very anti-black of me to not get a book where I have been dying for the main female character or lead to be a POC. Since we are on the topic of strong black female character leads, I have this hardback here that is called Bloodlike Magic by Lizelle Sambury, okay? This book follows a young witch named Voya. Voya, in order to step into her powers, has to complete her calling. Now, when she fails to complete her calling the first time, normally that would mean she would have no magic and her ancestors are infuriated. But Voya gets this very rare second chance from her ancestors to complete her calling, but her calling is not what she would think that it would be. Her second calling that she must complete in order to save her family's magic is to kill her first love. So this book navigates how Voya will then navigate her relationship with Luke and her relationship with her family. In order to save her family's heritage and Luke, she will have to find something that her ancestors want more than the blood of her first love. Now the cover is gorgeous. The cover is gorgeous. She's dark and beautiful. She has her curly hair out. It's all blue and purple and pink. And I love magic, if you can't tell. I've never really read a witch sort of book though, but I'm excited to read this. I'm excited to get into some black girl magic, literally black girl magic, with this book here, Bloodlike Magic, and also Legend Born as well. Okay, now this book is also recommended, I believe, by my favorite booktuber, Mel Reads. It is called The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now this follows Avery Grahams, and she has a plan for her future. It says, survive high school, win a scholarship, and get out. However, Miss Avery is not ready when billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leave all his riches to her. The only catch is she must move into this house, the Hawthorne house, in order to receive the inheritance. Now, unfortunately for Avery, literally Hawthorne house is already occupied by the recently disinherited family, and that includes Hawthorne's 4 grandsons, and the main one, Grayson, thinks Avery is a con woman. However, brother Jameson thinks that this is his grandfather's last hurrah to, like, say F you in the face, figure it out. Now Avery and the brothers and the family have to navigate through this crazy situation of their own, this crazy lifestyle of wealth and puzzles and privilege and danger around every corner. This is giving me very much murder mystery. This is giving me very much thriller mystery. I'm not sure, but I hope it has a little bit of love in it. Just a little bit, just a little TT, but I'm excited to read it nonetheless. I have never read anything that's kind of like this, in this kind of mystery type of vibe, but I'm excited to see what this unpacks. This honestly has gotten so many good reviews on Goodreads as well, so I'm excited to read this one also. These next 3 books are in the thriller category of everything that I have going on, and the first one here is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Now this is a part of a series that is by Holly Jackson, and this book has been all over the internet as well. I'm pretty sure I might love it. I'm not really a huge mystery lover of reading, but I will give this a shot. Now, Silent Patient is also a thriller type of novel. I don't know about y'all, but I love psychological things that test my mind and make me feel like, wait, hold on. So I feel like Silent Patient will give me that. A lot of people love Silent Patient, so I will be reading it as well, along with my other mystery, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Now, Wilder Girls is my last thriller of this, and it's basically about these girls, these teenage girls that are trapped inside of this school, and basically this infection has caused these certain mutations to go on with people that has altered the way they look. Some of the main characters are called Beat and Hetty, and when Beat goes missing, Hetty will do anything to find her. So I started reading this. I read the first chapter of this, and the amount of gore, or the way they explain things in detail, I was like, Rory Power, what are you doing? I was a little bit sickened, like, by how they were explaining in such great detail what this tox thing had did to morph their bodies and their faces and how it can kill them and all types of things. So I'm excited to read this. It says on the side here, your new favorite book, so we'll see. You have been challenged, Rory Power. All right, the next book on my lineup here for my book haul is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. This is like a part of the series, like Shadow Hunter series, I'm not sure, but it follows Cordelia, and Cordelia is a shadow hunter, and that's warriors that are trained to hunt these demons. Now, Cordelia's dad is convicted of this terrible crime, and in order to save her dad and her family's reputation, Cordelia travels to London, where she links up with her two friends, James and Lucy, and they start going on this crazy adventure that entails, of course, like supernatural salons and ballrooms, and Cordelia's life kind of falls apart when demon attacks start falling upon London, and Cordelia is trapped in this quarantine part of the city, and she must hide her love for James because James is betrothed to another. That will be the first book of Cassandra Clare's that I have read, so fingers crossed that I really like it so that I can hopefully buy more. Now, these books are from the greatest, the GOAT, Miss Sarah J. Maas. I bought the first book in the Throne of Glass series, which follows an assassin who is sought after to join this little game, or this type of warrior game, where she must defeat 23 other killers in order to become like the right hand of the king, or some type of warrior or sword hand of the king or something. But she ends up falling in love or in this love triangle with the crown prince and his right hand man, who is the general or head of the army. So I'm super excited to read this. This book also goes in with the other book that I have of the Throne of Glass series. I think this is the second book, which is Crown of Midnight. So I ended up getting both of these, and I will hopefully read the remainder of the series. It's about 8 books in total. I have read another series of Sarah J. Maas's, which is the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. That was my January read. Both of those entail like magic and fairy worlds and things like that, supernatural creatures. But from the synopsis that I have read of both of these, it doesn't seem like this has much of that. I just thought Miss Girl was just an assassin, but she might be a little bit of something else. Because of A Court, I did mention A Court. Because of that, I did pick up this book here, From Blood and Nash by Jennifer Armentrout. Another one of my favorite booktubers actually also loves the From Blood and Ash series, so I had to go and pick up this first book, and I'll see how I like it from there and decide if I want to continue reading more of Jennifer's books. So I mentioned this series a little bit ago in this video, and this is the Crescent City series by Miss Sarah J. Maas. So this is my second series that I am reading of hers. I waited to buy this new book of hers that I actually am reading in a vlog that I'm doing right now. This is the Crescent City, A House of Earth and Blood, and Crescent City, A House of Sky and Breath, book 1 and book 2 of the Crescent City series. So I am currently filming a reading vlog for these. As you can see, I'm about 21 chapters into the first book. I'm currently doing a reading vlog for this for the week, and I'm super excited to finish this up. Basically, this book follows a half human, half fae named Bryce Quinlan, and Bryce is, you know, a party girl. She likes to get lit. She likes to get turned up. Bryce normally lived up her normal everyday to-day life until something very, very, very tragic happens in her life that spins Bryce out of control. 2 years later, she's tasked with figuring out or discovering the person or the thing behind those tragic events 2 years before, and she's thrust into this world with this angel, Hunt, and together Bryce and Hunt must fight to unravel this mystery that is going on in Crescent City and for the equality of everyone around them. And in this one, basically the Asteri, which is a big group that you figure out about in book 1, they are leaving Bryce and Hunt alone. Right now, Bryce and Hunt are trying to get back into normal everyday today life after they have saved Crescent City. Now, the only thing is now a rebellion is on the clouds, on the hills, about to brink over into the world that they know it of, and the Asteri are losing their power, and that makes them a bigger threat. So now it all goes down to Bryce and Hunt. Will they stay quiet while others are oppressed, or will they decide to fight in the rebellion for the war and for the freedom of their people? Both of these books are very thick, honey. They are thick girls. They're both about 800 pages, and it's taken me a little longer to get through Crescent City than it did for me Orchestra. The longest book I think was about 600 pages. This is an additional 200 of them, and I think it's because it takes so long to build up in this first book, however, that it's taken me a little longer to get through it. But nonetheless, I am liking it. It's a lot more vulgar in a sense than Orchestra was. The characters I actually am loving. Sarah J Maas did kind of cross a line that I did not want her to cross in the beginning of this book, but you will have to watch my reading vlog of these two books to figure out more about that. Next, we're gonna get into my one manga book that I have. I only have one. So I haven't ever read manga before. I haven't ever really thought about it, but recently I have gotten into anime a lot, I cannot lie. So this manga was recommended to me by one of my TikTok followers, and also once I got into the Barnes & Noble store, a girl in the aisle where the manga was at, she was like, yeah, you should read this one. So I picked up this one. It is volume 1 of the Orange series here for manga. Now, what I have understood from this book is that it is really sad, like really sad. And I don't know why a girl recommends me my first manga to be something that is so heart-wrenching as something like this, apparently to all of the reviews that this manga has received. Now, my last book, I know this has been such a long book haul, but my last book falls in the self-help category, and it is called Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear. Now, this book is all over the self-help baddies, the self-education baddies, the that girl realists across the internet, okay? I will be reading this in an upcoming reading vlog as well, just so I can kind of get a feel of what it's about. Maybe it might help me, maybe it might not. We never know. So that is gonna be all for today's book haul. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I know it was a ton of books, literally over 30 books of this book haul. I have no idea when I'm gonna be able to read these, but you can expect in the upcoming weeks to have literally reading vlog after reading vlog after reading vlog of me just sitting down and reading as many books as I can. I will be announcing very soon my March TBR, so stay tuned for that. And be on the lookout for the rest of this week for my Sarah J Maas readathon vlog. I'm super excited for it, my very first readathon, and I hope you guys will love it just as much as I did when I was reading these books. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below. Give this video a big old thumbs up. That helps me out so much, and I'll see you all, friends, in the next one. Bye!